Hey, brother. Peter Pettigrew, am I right? Like, seriously, one of the worst people in the entire wizarding world. Not only does he hand over Lily and James to Voldemort, his two best friends, that results in their death, but he also frames one of his other best friends for the death of 12 other people who he killed! And he made everyone think that he got killed in the process too! Which, by the way, he was then, after his death, awarded the Order of Merlin, which is so frustrating. Then he has the audacity to sleep in the same room as Harry for 3 years! Disguised as a rat. Although it would be just as creepy, if not more creepy, if he wasn't disguised as a rat. But seriously, how creepy is that? Like, how would you feel about finding out that the person who murdered your parents was sleeping in the same room as you for 3 years? You know what? I don't even know why I said that out loud. I'm never gonna be able to sleep again. On that note, I would be freaked out if I found out that my best friend was sleeping in my room without me knowing for 3 years. Especially if he was disguised as a rat. But from there, he also goes about resurrecting Lord Voldemort himself and sacrificing his own hand in the process. Which 100% means, and I always like to remind myself of this, that Voldemort is at least some percent rat and 0% wedding planner, am I right? So yeah, he's a really terrible person behind a really terrible cause. But the thing that's even more unusual about him is that almost all of his motivation for all of these decisions is entirely based in fear, and yet he was sorted into Gryffindor House, which, in case you have forgotten, is exclusively made up of good characters and people who are immensely brave. And, you know, Cormac McLaggen. So today we have to ask ourselves the question, what gives, Sorting Hat? What gives? Right out of the gate, let's just go ahead and say that Pettigrew's sorting into Gryffindor is probably the most highly contested decision of the Sorting Hat of all time. After all, here is how the hat describes Gryffindor. You might belong in Gryffindor, where dwell the brave at heart. Their daring nerve and chivalry set Gryffindors apart. And yet, there seems to be absolutely no accounts of any daring nerve or chivalry inside of Peter's body anywhere. But somehow, he still ends up in Gryffindor. Something that even Bloomsbury Publishing, the company that prints the Harry Potter books, is reluctant to accept. Just look here how on the Slytherin version of the 20th anniversary cover of Prisoner, they chose to include freaking Peter as an example of Slytherin house. No, we don't want him in our house. We already have enough to deal with. How dare you, Bloomsbury? The rest of the books are totally lovely though, by the way. We all make mistakes, don't worry about it. I'll buy more. Now, to be fair, if he wasn't going to be in Gryffindor, he definitely would have been in Slytherin house. And that's not just speculation, that's actually canon. Peter is part of what is known as a hat stall. A hat stall is something that happens whenever the hat takes more than 5 minutes to determine where a particular student should go. They are pretty rare and, according to Pottermore, only actually happen about once every 50 years. Now, kind of surprisingly, nobody in Harry's year was actually a hat stall, although Hermione and Neville did both take about 4 minutes to place, and the hat itself admits that Harry was hard to place. Neville was insisting that he be in Hufflepuff house, but the hat just disagreed and couldn't decide for Hermione between Ravenclaw and Gryffindor. Peter, however, was a true hat stall, and it was divided between Gryffindor and Slytherin. So is it possible that the Sorting Hat just made a mistake, that he was actually supposed to be in Slytherin? I mean, after all, he does ultimately go on to become a Death Eater and supporter of the heir of Slytherin himself. And I agree, that might make sense, but the hat itself disagrees. Although it is worth noting that the Sorting Hat is infamously stubborn, that it has never made a mistake. Here's the thing though, as much as you might think that he does not belong in Gryffindor, I am here to argue why he doesn't belong in Slytherin. The traits of Slytherin house are resourcefulness, cunning, ambition, and determination. And I don't really think any of those describe Peter either. Although, to be fair, I could see that there are certain things that he does that might actually align with these particular traits. But at the end of the day, when it comes to Peter Pettigrew, it all boils down to the same thing. He's just a big ol' scaredy cat, or I guess in this case, a scaredy rat. Framing serious and killing 12 people? not resourceful. He's just afraid Sirius is going to kill him. To which I say that is correct. He would have done that. Hiding for 12 years as a rat, that is not cunning. That is just fear that the Death Eaters will track him down and blame him or hold him responsible for the death of Voldemort, which, to be fair, is also true. But then finally, setting out to resurrect Lord Voldemort himself, the greatest dark wizard of all time, I argue not ambitious. Once again, he's just afraid that Sirius and Lupin are going to kill him. To which I say, again, they would have. This is just what you get for being such a terrible person all the time. Even Voldemort, King Baldo himself, who benefited from Peter's actions, refuses to acknowledge these as Slytherin characteristics. You return to me, not out of loyalty, but out of fear of your old friends. You deserve this pain, Wormtail. You know that, don't you? So, all of this being said, honestly, I feel like the Sorting Hat had a bit of a unique situation when little Peter came and sat on the stool. Because most hat stall or even near hat stall situations arise typically because the person is so gifted that they just embody the full characteristics of more than one house. Hermione is bursting with so much potential, so much intelligence and courage that the hat just can't decide between Ravenclaw and Gryffindor. In case you were wondering, McGonagall was also a hat stall between these two houses as well. But I think the exact opposite is true of Wormtail. Not that he has so much of so many qualities that it can't decide to put him, but so little of all of the qualities of any of the houses that it just is forced to decide between one of the two. In his case, it's not which house gets Pettigrew, it's which house is stuck with him. He is obviously insanely unloyal, so Hufflepuff was out probably first of all of them. He's not super clever, he's just basically coasting on the coattail of his friends, so definitely not Ravenclaw, which just leaves Slytherin and Gryffindor and a tough decision for the hat. And this is where my personal hot take comes in, but I then believe he is correctly sorted into Gryffindor. And it's not just because I'm in Slytherin and don't want Peter in my house. Although I am and I don't. First, the hat stands by its decision to put him into Gryffindor and cites his death and the cause of death as evidence of it. Peter's death, in case you need a reminder, is caused by this moment of hesitation he has when showing mercy towards Harry, which causes his silver hand to turn and then strangle himself. It's buried deep, and I mean deep, but it does prove that there's this tiny little scrap of something in him. Honor? Which is all good and well, but let's face it, is a huge stretch. But I actually think there is an even more plausible explanation for this. You see, the thing about Peter is, he's not courageous. Like, definitively so. But somehow, that is exactly why Gryffindor is the right fit for him. Because if you fear everything, and Wormtail seems to, then what would you value above all else? Bravery. Think of Neville, for example. For his first few years, he shows these hints of courage.
I'll fight you.
Mostly, you end up kind of wondering how he even got into Gryffindor house when he seems to be kind of like flubbing his way through each year.
Why is it always me?
It's a similar situation, except Neville obviously goes in the exact opposite direction of Wormtail. I'm awesome! Neville has looked up to his friends and learns to be courageous from them. Peter is surprised to even have friends and leans on them to be courageous for him. So at the end of the day, I think that you have these two characters, Neville and Peter, who started in very similar places, but ultimately went in completely different directions. One being the entire embodiment of what it means to be a Gryffindor, and the other effectively the opposite. Bottom line is, someone was gonna get stuck with him, and I'm just glad it wasn't Slytherin house. We have enough to deal with over here. freaking Voldemort. Raise your hand if you got that reference. If you didn't, let me extend an invite to the Super Carlin Brothers Trivia Hour, which we are hosting tomorrow night. That is Friday, May 22nd at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On this channel, we are going to be going live again, just like last week, and doing another trivia challenge. We will be playing along with you guys through Kahoot, so if you don't have the app already, I would highly recommend downloading it. And the winner this week will be receiving a very special new piece of SCB merch that we'll be announcing tomorrow night. But all the information that you need to know for tomorrow's stream is down below. Be sure to use your phone, take it out right now and be like, hey, remind me tomorrow at 6 p.m. Then I need to log on and watch the Super Carlin Brothers, because that's what I do. This is where my phone usually is. Guys, for my question of the day, what do you think about Peter Pettigrew though? Do you think he should have been in Gryffindor house? Do you have your own reasons why he should have been in a different house? Leave your thoughts in the towel section down below. But guys, as always, thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you'd like some more sorting action from us, you can check out this video right here to find out why Luna is basically Snape. But otherwise, guys, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, bye.